Okay, so picture this. You're at a party, maybe around 1899.
Right.
For decades, all the music you've ever heard sounds like a marching band or a really formal waltz.
Mm-hmm. Very stiff, very predictable,
Yeah,
proper.
exactly. Then someone sits at a piano and plays something so unbelievably catchy, so energetic, that it makes everyone just break all the rules of polite dancing.
That music wasn't just a hit. It was, and this isn't an exaggeration, a revolution.
We are talking about ragtime,
Yeah.
America's first real popular music sensation. The sound that, basically invented the idea of a modern hit song.
That's exactly right. And today, we're going to dissect the facts of ragtime. We're going beyond just the catchy tunes to understand its structure, its origins.
And those origins are in the African-American community.
Absolutely. We'll look at why it created such a cultural shockwave, one that laid the groundwork, the rhythmic architecture for almost every type of popular music you listen to now.
From rock to hip-hop.
All of it.
And we can't even start talking about ragtime without naming its secret weapon right away.
The key to everything.
It's this core concept that gives the music its drive, this impossible-to-sit-still energy. And it even gives the genre its name. It's a rhythmic technique called syncopation.
Hold on to that word, syncopation. It explains everything.
So where does this radical new sound even come from? We're looking at the late 19th century, and ragtime just sort of bursts onto the scene.
And it's a uniquely American style. It's combining elements that had never really been mixed before.
And it's so important to remember, this music was developed primarily by African-American musicians.
Yes, they were often playing in community centers, saloons, dance halls, mostly across the Midwest.
What's so fascinating about that moment is the cultural chemistry.
It is. Ragtime wasn't developed in a vacuum. It's a brilliant merger.
A merger of what?
Well, it took the formal, highly structured compositions from European classical music.
Things like marches and polkas.
Exactly, things that were popular then, and it blended them with these incredibly complex, layered, and often improvised rhythmic traditions from Africa.
So that blend is the DNA of ragtime.
It is. The precision of European structure, plus a rhythmic energy that was just totally new to American popular music at the time. A true hybrid.
And that energy was undeniable.
Completely. The musicians spreading it were incredibly mobile. They traveled all over the central United States, sharing their compositions, formalizing them.
And you start to see these hubs forming.
For sure. Especially in the Midwest. Cities like St. Louis and Sedalia, Missouri, they became these crucial centers for the whole movement.
The impact must have been immediate.
It was. The music was so upbeat, so driving, it just redefined what entertainment was. It didn't just change music. It became this huge engine for all kinds of American popular culture that came after.
It really showed the country that this new, vibrant music from Black artists was going to dominate the American soundscape.
No question.
All right, let's nail down that central concept then.
Yeah.
Syncopation. If you can understand syncopation, you basically understand the genre's genius.
It's the core.
Okay, so imagine you're listening to a basic marching beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4. The emphasis, the big boom you tap your foot to, it falls on those strong beats.
Syncopation is like a rhythmic rebellion against that. Instead of emphasizing the beat you expect, it shifts the stress.
The accents and the punches.
Right. It shifts them onto the weak beats, or, and this is even more clever, into the empty spaces between the beats.
I like how you put it, a rebellion. So if regular music is walking in a straight line, ragtime is, what, skipping?
Skipping, or maybe even tripping over its own feet, but with this perfect, thrilling control. It feels ragged.
Or syncopated, broken up.
And that's the origin of the name. It's what gives the music that forward momentum and just makes it impossible for you to stay still.
And the genius of performing it, especially on the piano, is that the player is doing two completely different things at once.
They're running two separate rhythmic machines. The left hand operates like the rhythm section of a band. It keeps a very steady, solid, march-like beat. It's the foundation.
The anchor.
Precisely. And at the same time, the right hand is playing this super complicated, jagged, syncopated melody that's jumping and skipping and pushing against that steady beat.
And that contrast, that tension between the solid bass and the skipping melody is what listeners found so intoxicating.
Especially young people at the turn of the century. It sounded completely modern. Daring.
It sounds simple when we explain it, but this was revolutionary stuff
Yeah.
and incredibly demanding to play.
Oh, for sure. It wasn't just party music. Musicians needed rigorous, extensive practice just to master the coordination. It's technically very difficult music.
That complexity is why it's viewed as real art.
Yeah.
It wasn't just improvised strumming.
Not at all. It was an exact, disciplined, rhythmic science.
So if ragtime required this level of genius, who are the masters? The one name you absolutely have to know, the king of ragtime, is Scott Joplin.
Right. Born in Texas, he learned a bunch of instruments, but really focused his whole life on the piano.
And Joplin wasn't just a popular musician, he was an incredibly ambitious composer.
He was. His goal went way beyond just writing catchy dance tunes. He genuinely wanted to elevate ragtime to the status of serious classical music.
To put it on the same level as opera and ballet.
He wanted legitimacy for a black musical form that was born in the dance halls of the Midwest. And he faced a lot of resistance.
Damn who?
From a lot of elite music critics. They saw ragtime as, lowbrow, dangerous, uncivilized, really just because of its cultural origins and that energy.
But he kept writing these beautiful, complex pieces meant for concert halls.
And he had this massive popular success with his defining work, The Maple Leaf Rag.
The big one.
That piece became a sensation almost immediately after it was published in 1899. That one hit, spread his fame everywhere, and really established him as the first superstar composer of American popular music.
Okay, let's connect that success back to the instrument itself. Why the piano? Why was it so central to the ragtime explosion?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture around 1900, the piano represented a few key things. First, social status.
Having one in your home was a big deal.
A huge deal. A beautiful piano in the parlor was the ultimate sign of middle-class success. And families were buying sheet music constantly for those home pianos.
Which created a huge market.
A vast market, yes. Second, there's efficiency and volume.
How so?
Ragtime was perfect for the piano because one single player could sound like an entire band. The powerful left hand is your bass and percussion. The right hand is your lead melody.
So venues didn't need to hire a whole orchestra. It was economical.
Incredibly economical. That was a huge driver for how fast the music spread. And third, you have technology.
You mean the player piano?
Exactly. We forget about the player piano. These mechanical pianos used paper rolls to play complex pieces automatically, so people who couldn't play could still hear the latest, most difficult rags right in their own homes. It democratized the music.
What's so fascinating is that even with this energetic, free-flowing sound, ragtime wasn't random. It was built with a highly sophisticated musical architecture.
A formal, precise structure. A classic rag is organized into distinct, repeating sections that composers called strains.
Strains. So think of them like verses and choruses in a modern song.
Kind of, but much more formal, like movements in a symphony. A typical rag has 4 different themes, or strains, that repeat in a predictable sequence.
And that structure, which was similar to military marches from that era, was part of Joplin's argument that ragtime was serious art.
The structural details prove it. Each strain is usually exactly 16 measures long.
That's very specific.
It is. And to add variety and maintain interest, composers would often change the musical key for the 3rd section, the C strain, before coming back. This kind of technical maneuvering showed this was meticulous composition, not just disposable fun.
And this precision leads us right to the industry that made it all famous, the sheet music business.
Right. Before radio, before the phonograph, if you wanted to hear a hit, you had to buy the printed music and play it yourself.
Or have someone in your family play it. And that's where the money was.
All the money. Music publishers flocked to New York City and set up this bustling, noisy district known as Tin Pan Alley.
It was basically an assembly line for popular music.
It was. Composers pounding out tunes all day, song pluggers, playing the latest hits on pianos in the street to get people to buy the sheets. Imagine the sound.
The energy must have been incredible. And there's a staggering fact here about how music was sold. The Maple Leaf Rag.
It became the first piece of sheet music in American history to sell over 1 million copies.
1 million.
That single achievement was a massive turning point. It proved to the entire white-dominated publishing industry that there was an enormous, lucrative market for African-American compositions.
And maybe more importantly, it established the modern idea of a hit song, something everyone across the country knew at the same time.
And it allowed composers like Joplin to earn real money through royalties, a small fee for every copy sold. that fundamentally changed the economics for musicians and really established music as a viable industry.
Beyond business, the cultural impact was just revolutionary. It completely transformed dancing.
It did. Before ragtime, dances were formal, with specific European-style steps.
But the syncopated rhythm just demanded something else.
It encouraged energetic, athletic, free movements. It gave people permission to let loose. And you see all these brand new dances just explode in popularity.
Like the turkey trot, the grizzly bear?
And the famous cakewalk. The cakewalk started as a satirical dance among enslaved people and became a national phenomenon.
So ragtime was bringing people together in public spaces like never before.
Absolutely. Because it was so compelling and so fun, it was embraced across social and, crucially, racial lines. This was the first time a musical style created by the Black community became the dominant popular sound in all of America. It provided a sense of freedom and excitement.
Okay, we've covered the masters, the instrument, the structure. But if we're really digging in, we have to talk about the women who shaped this movement.
Yes. History often focuses on the male composers, but many women were equally successful musicians and published composers.
And their story is one of determination.
It is. They faced huge obstacles in a male-dominated industry, both in publishing and performing, but they still managed to find success. We're talking about pioneers like Adeline Shepard and May Ofterhide.
Right, both were incredibly talented pianists who published their own syncopated rags. Shepard's, the great XTN-SION rag became famous. Her work often had these unique melodic qualities that really pushed the genre's boundaries.
And their contributions added new flavors and styles to the whole movement. It proves that the genius of ragtime was widespread. It's so important to acknowledge them.
So if it was so popular, why did it eventually fade?
Well, by the end of World War I, the peak era started to subside. Newer, hotter musical styles began to emerge.
Specifically early jazz and big band swing.
Right. And as always, technology changed everything again.
The radio and the phonograph.
Exactly. For the first time, people didn't have to rely on their own piano skills for entertainment. You could just put on a professional recording. And that shift really hurt the sheet music economy that had supported ragtime.
But the music didn't just vanish. It morphed.
It did. Ragtime is absolutely a primary ancestor of jazz. Jazz musicians took that fundamental concept, the syncopation, but they added improvisation, a blues sensibility, and that fluid rhythm we call swing.
So the energy and the rhythmic foundation that Joplin and others established were adapted for new instruments.
For trumpets, clarinets, saxophones, a lot of early jazz legends, people like Jelly Roll Morton, they started their careers playing and evolving ragtime compositions. The foundation was already there.
And finally, there's that amazing comeback story. Ragtime had this huge, totally unexpected resurgence in the 1970s.
It did, and it was almost entirely because of one thing, the movie The Sting.
Right. The soundtrack was filled with Scott Joplin's music.
And suddenly, people who had never even heard of Scott Joplin were hearing The Entertainer everywhere.
It became a global phenomenon.
It did, and that revival introduced the joy and the technical complexity of ragtime to a whole new generation. It finally secured Joplin's place, decades after his death, as one of the truly great American composers. His work is now formally studied in universities.
So today, ragtime is seen as a foundational pillar of American cultural history.
It's studied for its technical complexity, but also for the way it broke down social barriers through art.
And its spirit, that driving, offbeat syncopation, it lives on. You can hear its influence everywhere, in pop, rock, even the complex beat structures of hip-hop.
So if we just summarize, ragtime was a profound cultural revolution. It was built on a brilliant blending of cultures and a clever rhythmic trick that just broke all the rules.
And it proved that sophisticated, exciting new music could come from anywhere, regardless of where it was born.
That's it.
So here's a final thought for you to carry forward. Next time you're listening to a song that makes your head bob and your feet tap, listen really closely. Try to find the beat that should be there, and then listen for that ragged rhythm, that punch or accent that hits between the main beats, forcing you to move. That rhythmic trick is ragtime's enduring legacy.